I've been a cop for 15 years, and in all that time, nothing prepared me for the tangled mess of lies, secrets, and shadows that make up the digital world. It was just after sunrise when the call came in, high-profile homicide, media already circling like vultures. I pulled up outside the sprawling Beverly Hills estate, coffee in one hand and yesterday's case notes in the other. The influencer's name was Delilah Grace, and judging by the screaming fans and reporters held back by police tape, she was as famous in death as she'd been in life. The first thing that hit me as I stepped inside was the silence. For a house that large, it was almost unnervingly quiet. The crime scene techs moved around in hushed efficiency, photographing the scene. Delilah lay on the plush white carpet of her living room, an almost serene expression on her face that didn't match the chaos surrounding her. The shattered glass, overturned furniture, and blood streaked along the floor told a different story. The struggle. And then the end. Detective Thorne, Officer Martinez greeted me, her face pale. It's brutal. And there's more. There always is, I muttered. Walk me through it. Martinez led me to a sleek laptop perched on a marble counter in the kitchen. Her final post went up less than 2 hours before her estimated time of death. On the screen was a photo of Delilah, smiling and radiant, captioned with a single chilling line, "If anything happens to me, ask it, no one lives here." The handle doesn't exist, Martinez said. No accounts, no trace. Like it was made up. Or scrubbed clean, I thought. She'd been reporting a hacker, right? Someone harassing her? Yeah, Martinez confirmed. Anonymous threats, blackmail attempts, even hacked live streams. LAPD's cybercrime unit was already looking into it, but nothing solid came up before. This? I nodded, scanning the rest of the screen. Delilah's follower count was in the millions, each comment under her post a flood of shock and speculation. Everyone wanted to know who at No One Lives Here was and why she tagged them. But for now the answers weren't in her comments. They were in her home. I started with her bedroom. It looked untouched compared to the wreckage downstairs, but that didn't mean it was clean. A diary sat on her nightstand, but flipping through it revealed nothing except neatly written affirmations and goals. I'd bet my badge there was another diary somewhere, the kind where people wrote the truth. Then there was her phone. Unlocked, thankfully. I scrolled through her messages, looking for anything that might hint at who wanted her dead. It didn't take long to find the thread. Unknown, you don't know who you're messing with. Walk away or you'll regret it. Delilah, or what? You'll post more lies? Go ahead. Everyone will see through you. Unknown, this isn't about lies. This is your last warning. The last message had been sent less than an hour before she died. We need cybercrime to trace this number, I told Martinez as I handed over the phone. She nodded and stepped out to make the call, leaving me to piece together the rest of the puzzle. It didn't take long for the press to start spinning their own theories. The boyfriend did it. The jealous friend. A crazed fan. But none of them knew what I'd started uncovering. Delilah's perfect online world had cracks big enough to fall through. By the time I got back to my desk that evening, my inbox was overflowing. Tips, theories, evidence from wannabe sleuths. Most of it was noise, but one email caught my eye. The subject line read, "You're asking the wrong questions." I opened it. The body of the email was blank except for a link. Against my better judgment, I clicked it, watching as it redirected to an invite-only forum. The title at the top of the page sent a chill down my spine, The Collective. It wasn't just one hacker stalking Delilah. It was a group. Anonymous, coordinated, and dangerous. They'd been watching her for months, maybe longer, and now they were watching me. As I scrolled through the threads, I saw usernames I didn't recognize posting details about Delilah's life no one should have known. And then my name popped up. Detective Sam 76 is digging too deep. Time to teach him a lesson. A shiver ran down my spine, but I kept my face impassive, even though my office was empty. I couldn't let them know they'd gotten under my skin, not yet. The collective was baiting me, daring me to react. My gut told me this was their game. They'd been playing it with Delilah, and now they were turning their focus on me. I scrolled further, reading through the comments under the thread with my name. Most of it was taunting, mockery about my outdated investigation methods, vague threats about exposing me, and one particularly ominous line. "Let's see how he likes it when the spotlight's on him." I knew better than to stay on the forum too long. If they were skilled enough to stalk Delilah, they could easily track me through my digital footprint. I took a screenshot of the thread for evidence, then logged off and shut the laptop. Martinez walked into my office a moment later, her face grim. Cybercrime's tracing the number from Delilah's phone, but they say it was rerouted through so many layers it might take days to crack. She paused, noticing my expression. You okay, Thorne? I hesitated. Trust wasn't something I handed out easily, but Martinez had proven herself time and time again. You ever hear of a group called the Collective? She frowned. Can't say I have. Why? They're not just hackers, I said. They're organized and they're the ones behind this. Delilah's stalker wasn't one person, it was them. And now they've got their sights on me? Martinez's eyes widened. What do you mean on you? What did they do? Started a thread about me on their private forum. They know I'm investigating and they're not happy about it. I leaned back in my chair, the weight of the case pressing down on me. They're the kind of people who like to stay in the shadows, and Delilah must have threatened to expose them. That's why they silenced her. Then we need to hit back hard, Martinez said firmly. Get a warrant, shut them down before they can. It's not that simple, I interrupted. These people don't leave evidence lying around. They hide behind layers of encryption and fake accounts. If we make the wrong move, they'll scatter like roaches and we'll never find them. Martinez crossed her arms, frustration etched across her face. So what's the plan? Sit back and let them come after you? No, I said, my voice cold. We draw them out. Later that night, I sat in my apartment, staring at my own reflection in the dark screen of my laptop. My instincts told me I was about to cross a line, but I didn't see another way forward. The Collective thrived on fear and control, and if I wanted to get close to them, I had to make them believe I was vulnerable. I set up a burner email and registered for an account on the forum. It wasn't hard to find an opening thread, users boasting about past exploits, anonymous rants about their hatred for influencers, cryptic hints about their next targets. I posted my first message, careful to mimic the tone and style of the other users. New here, but I've been watching. Cops are clueless. Let's talk about how we handle them. I hit send, my stomach twisting as I watched the message go live. It didn't take long for replies to start trickling in. User 109, finally someone gets it. Shadowweave, the cop? Yeah, he's toast. We've got receipts. Oblivion rises, Sam Thorne's hiding something. Wonder if he'll still have a badge after we're done. They were fishing for a reaction. I gave them one. What's he hiding? The replies came back faster this time, the thread growing as more users chimed in. They dropped vague hints about my personal life, my cases, even my family, things I hadn't told anyone in years. They wanted me to know how deep they could dig. But then a private message popped up, cutting through the noise. The sender's username was simple, Observer. You're not one of them, are you? You're here for answers. Be careful, the Collective isn't what it seems. I stared at the message, my pulse quickening. Was this another trap, or had I found an ally in the most unlikely of places? Before I could respond, another notification popped up. Observer had sent me an attachment, a file labeled Delilah_truth.mp4. I clicked it and the video began to play. Delilah's face filled the screen, her expression raw and panicked. If you're seeing this, it means they've gotten to me. They call themselves the Collective, but they're not just hackers, they're worse. And they're not working alone. She glanced over her shoulder as if expecting someone to burst in. They're coming for me, but I won't go down without a fight. I know their secrets, and if you're smart, you'll stay away from them. The video ended abruptly, leaving me with more questions than answers. I stared at the dark screen, my jaw tightening. Delilah, what the hell did you get yourself into? And just how far was I willing to go to find out? The video replayed in my mind as I stared out the window of my apartment, the city lights flickering like distant stars. Delilah's last words felt like a challenge, a warning, and a plea all rolled into one. The Collective wasn't just a hacker group, they were something bigger, something darker. And now they were circling me. I leaned back, running a hand through my hair. There was no turning back now. I typed a reply to Observer. Who are you? How do you know about the Collective? Minutes passed. Then the reply came. Someone who's been in their crosshairs. Someone who knows what happens when you get too close. If you want to stop them, you'll need more than a badge. Check the file they tried to delete. I blinked. What file? Before I could respond, a new email notification lit up my screen. The sender was anonymous, the subject line blank. Attached was a single file, recovered_Delilah_journal.pdf. I opened it cautiously, scanning the pages. It wasn't her public affirmations journal. This was raw, unfiltered, a private diary written in bursts of fear and defiance. March 3rd, they hacked into my emails today. They sent screenshots of things I said years ago, things I barely remember. They're watching everything. I blocked the accounts, but they keep coming back. I think they want me to know I can't escape. March 18th. I found out there's more than one. They slip up sometimes using different tones or words. It's like they're a hive mind, but they have their own agendas too. One of them called me last night. I didn't answer. I can't sleep knowing they have my number. April 2nd. I got an email from someone calling themselves Observer. They said I wasn't the first to be targeted. They said the collective always cleans up their messes, but they leave traces if you know where to look. I think Observer's right, but if I follow the trail, I'm putting a target on my back. April 10th. I'm done hiding. I found their hub, a private forum. It's invitation only, but Observer showed me a way in. If they think they're untouchable, they're wrong. I'm going to expose them. Even if it costs me everything. I sat back, my pulse pounding. Delilah had been braver than most. She hadn't just been running, she'd been fighting back. And it had cost her. Martinez called just then, pulling me out of my thoughts. Thorne, we've got something, she said, her voice tense. Cybercrime traced part of the number. It's linked to a burner phone bought 2 weeks ago near Venice Beach. We pulled security footage from the store. You're gonna want to see this. I didn't like the sound of her tone. Why? Because whoever bought that phone knew exactly where the cameras were. They never looked up, but they left a clue, a tattoo on their wrist. It's recognizable. Recognizable how? It's the same symbol from the forum you showed me. The collective's mark. An hour later, I stood in front of the grainy black and white footage at the precinct. The figure on the screen was hooded, their face obscured, but Martinez was right. On their wrist was a small, unmistakable symbol, a jagged circle with a slash through it. They're not being as careful as I thought, I murmured. Martinez crossed her arms. Or they're leaving breadcrumbs. Either way, we've got a lead. It's not enough, I said. The collective isn't just one person. If we chase this tattoo, they'll cover their tracks before we get close. We need leverage. Something big enough to make them slip up. Martinez raised an eyebrow. And how do you plan to do that? I hesitated, then showed her the recovered journal. Delilah found their hub. She knew too much and they killed her for it. But there's more, she mentioned an ally. Someone on the inside. If we can find them, we might have a chance. And if Observer's just another trap? I clenched my jaw. Then we'll deal with it. But I'm not letting Delilah's death go unanswered. By midnight, I was back on the forum, navigating its threads with growing unease. The collective thrived on paranoia and chaos. Every post was a mix of coded language and cryptic messages, but one thread stood out. A recent post titled "The Spotlight Shifts." It was about me. They'd uploaded an old photo of me in uniform, alongside details about my family, my cases, my life. The comments were a mix of taunts and threats, but one caught my attention. Shadow Weave, he thinks he's untouchable. Let's see how he handles tomorrow's headlines. I swallowed hard. Whatever they were planning, it wasn't just digital anymore. Just then, another private message came through. Observer again. They're getting reckless. Meet me. Midnight. Venice Pier. It was a risk, walking into what could easily be an ambush, but if Observer was real, they might be the only person who could help me take down the collective. I grabbed my coat and my gun, slipping into the night with Delilah's last words ringing in my ears. They're not just hackers, they're worse. The collective thought they'd silenced her. But they didn't count on one thing. I wasn't afraid to fight dirty too. The Venice Pier at midnight was the kind of place that felt like a movie set, eerily quiet, lit only by flickering lampposts and the distant hum of the ocean. I parked my car a block away and approached on foot, staying close to the shadows. If Observer was real, they'd be here. If they weren't, the collective might be waiting instead. I scanned the pier as I walked, my hand resting on my holstered gun. A figure stood near the end, silhouetted against the water. They were hooded, just like in the security footage from the burner phone store. Observer? I called, my voice low but firm. The figure turned slightly, then motioned for me to come closer. Every instinct in me screamed that this was a bad idea, but I didn't have much choice. I approached cautiously, stopping a few feet away. Thorne, the figure said, their voice distorted by some kind of voice modulator. You're late. Traffic, I said dryly. You've got a lot of explaining to do. Start talking. The figure reached into their pocket and I tensed, ready to draw my gun. But instead of a weapon, they pulled out a small USB drive and held it out. This is everything you need to bring them down, they said. Names, accounts, their next targets. It's all there. I didn't move. Why help me? If you're part of the collective, why turn on them now? They let out a bitter laugh. Because they're not what they used to be. It started as something else, exposing corruption, holding the powerful accountable. But now it's just chaos and greed. Delilah wasn't supposed to die. She was just supposed to be scared off. They went too far and I'm done. I stepped forward, slowly taking the USB drive. This better be real. If it's a trap, it's real, they interrupted. But you need to move fast. They know I'm here. If they find me, I'm as good as dead. Before I could respond, a loud crack echoed through the night, a gunshot. The figure staggered backward, clutching their shoulder as blood bloomed through their hoodie. Sniper. I barked, ducking behind a nearby bench as another shot rang out. The figure collapsed, groaning in pain. I scanned the area, my eyes locking onto a faint glint of metal on a rooftop overlooking the pier. The shooter. Stay down. I yelled to the wounded figure as I drew my gun and sprinted toward the nearest stairwell leading to the rooftop. My heart pounded as I climbed, every step bringing me closer to the sniper's perch. At the top, I burst onto the roof, gun drawn. The sniper was packing up their gear, but they froze when they saw me. A woman mid-30s with a jagged scar across her cheek. She smirked, raising her hands. "Detective Thorne," she said mockingly. "You're faster than I thought." "Drop the weapon," I ordered, keeping my gun trained on her. She hesitated, then tossed the rifle aside. "Go ahead, arrest me. But you won't stop them. The collective is bigger than one person." "Bigger than you?" "Not anymore," I said, my voice cold. "We'll see how big they are when I've got their files." Her smirk faltered. "You've got nothing." I raised the USB drive, which I'd pocketed before chasing her. "I've got everything. And you just gave me more than I need to bury you and the rest of them." Before she could reply, backup arrived, Martinez and a team of officers swarming the building. They cuffed the sniper while I descended to the pier. The wounded figure, Observer, was still there, bleeding but conscious. "Ambulance is on the way," I said, crouching beside them. "You're going to be okay." They nodded weakly. Did you get them?" "One of them," I said. "And thanks to you, we'll get the rest." The raid on the collective's operations came 2 days later, after the cybercrime unit verified the data on the USB drive. Observer hadn't lied. There were names, addresses, and even logs of their communications. It wasn't just a group of hackers. It was an organized network with layers of secrecy and backup plans. But we'd caught them off guard, and one by one they fell. The sniper, real name Vanessa Reed, was the linchpin. Her arrest led to a domino effect, with lower-level members flipping on their higher-ups to save themselves. Within a week, the collective was in shambles, its leaders in custody, its secrets exposed. As for Observer, they vanished after the hospital cleared them. No trace, no trail, just a single email sent to my inbox a week later. "You did good, detective. Don't stop asking the hard questions." Oh. Delilah's killers were brought to justice, but the case left a mark on me. The digital world was a battlefield and no one was untouchable, not even me. But as I stood by Delilah's grave a month later, I made a promise. No matter how deep the shadows, I'd keep fighting to bring the truth to light.